All right. Hey, you guys, welcome. How you guys doing? Shana and Antonio. We're live, by the way, y'all. Y'all look good. Y'all look good. So we're gonna give everybody a few minutes to kind of tune in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're gonna give everybody a few minutes to come on here. Shana and Antonio, how you guys doing tonight?
Doing great.
Doing well. We're good.
Awesome. I am so excited to have you guys as my guest. You guys are amazing. I'm glad to have you on my life for real, for real. And I'm excited that you guys are gonna get some of these people's lives together, even on Facebook. All right. Since we have about 11 people coming on tonight, I want all of you guys to go ahead and share this live with a friend. If you know you are in a season and you just believing the Lord to send you your Boaz or your Ruth, your man, go ahead and just share this live with a friend, tag your sister, tag your homeboy, because I believe this conversation tonight will bless your socks off. Shana and Antonio, how you guys doing tonight? Y'all all right? How was y'all day?
Productive, I would say.
Productive.
Yeah, I mean, smooth sailing. We're quarantined here at the house. We get to work from home. So everybody's good.
Okay. Are you guys enjoying the current quarantine?
A little bit too much.
We're going to talk about that a little later. We're going to talk about that a little later, friend. But thank you guys. Thank you guys. If you're here tonight, just go ahead and just show me some love in the chat. We got about 16 people. Tell me where you're listening from, where you're from, how you heard about Heart to Heart before we get into all the meat tonight. I'm really, really excited because if those of you that you've been following me, this is our very last session. You know, Heart to Heart was 6 months this year, and we talked about so much. And I know relationship is a really, really big topic and conversation. And we're gonna close out with this, right? So I'm excited to have the both of you. For those of you that are tuning in, we're going to go ahead and start. We're about 4 minutes in. So Shana and Antonio met at Florida. What's the A word? FAMU? Is that what it is? FAMU?
FAMU.
FAMU. Both.
We'll end the session right now.
Both entering the pharmacy program in 2003, being classmates. They became friends and later developed a relationship before graduating in 2009. They currently are married with 3 children. They enjoy spending time with their children, traveling the world, and building strong connections. They strive to show God's grace by giving their communities and being the change they want to see. And I want to welcome them. Thank you guys for being here. If this is your very first time here at Heart to Heart, my name is Ludy St. Till, and I am the founder of Heart to Heart. Heart to Heart been functioning since 2014. And I am excited to have this lovely couple share their story about God's grace. And the reason why this topic is, near and dear to my heart, and the reason why I chose this couple is because I truly believe in the power of restoration, right? And I truly believe in the power of transparency. And I truly believe that as, young people, we need couples that can, be examples to other people, because I believe we live in a world where, once you get saved, you can't make mistakes, and that's not always true. We all have sinned and fall short of God's glory. And what other way to show God's glory and his grace by interviewing individuals who he restored. Okay, so guys, thank you guys for being here tonight. If you're here tonight, just go ahead and just share this video. So we're talking about relationship, dating with a purpose, sis. Hey, Shana. Hey, Antonio. And I love this couple. You know, we went to church together. You know, Redeeming Word. Is it Christian Center? I don't forgot, Lord, my old church name. So we're talking about dating with a purpose, you guys. Before we get into the meat of that, like, what does dating with a purpose? When you hear that, what does dating with a purpose mean to the both of you?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having us on. We're delighted to be here and be a part of this. To answer your question directly, dating with a purpose for me is dating with intentionality, with a goal in mind, whether that be, ultimately for me would be marriage, would be the end goal. But I mean, understanding what exactly that you're seeking from the other individual in regards to that relationship. So being purposeful, intentional, all of those things. That's what dating with purpose means to me.
Yeah, for sure. So just to, I mean, kind of bring it home, right? It's an intentionality. Like you have a reason for having conversations, for talking, for the development of a relationship, whether in an end goal in mind, as Tonio said. It's just really about setting a particular goal around where you would like to be, and then finding someone who is, I guess, in a sense, able to join in on that journey.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is a compatibility there, if there is a possibility that things can grow, then you're able to navigate that journey together with the end purpose of, can we build purpose together as a unit, as one?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you're dating. And another, to me, intentional dating or being purposeful also means reading the flags, like if things don't work out, if you see things that you don't like, if you see things that don't resonate with you, to be purposeful about ending conversations and dismissing a relationship when it's not conducive to your life.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So, and I'm so glad that you guys are talking about that, because you guys hit a lot of great points, which we're definitely going to dive deeper. So, here you guys have the definition of dating with a purpose. What did that look like for you when you found each other? Can we go back into history?
Yeah. So I'll go first this time. So me and Tony met 2003, sometime in, walking around campus at some particular point. We were in the same pharmacy program. So usually you matriculate together as a unit, as a class. And so we basically ran in similar circles, not necessarily in the same circle, but similar.
Yeah, they kind of overlap.
They overlap. So we know the same people, went to the same clubs and parties and whatever else we were doing up there in Tallahassee. And so we developed a friendship over the years, to where it was really a vibe, no pressure. He had whatever he had going on, I had whatever I had going on, but it wasn't even necessarily like a sexual chemistry or anything like that at first. It was just more so like, you're crazy, I laugh a lot, I'm coming over to study or whatnot, with a group. And we just crossed paths in that way for a long time relating to that. And I think it wasn't until our last year in Tallahassee, and we both were, I guess, somewhat free in that sense, that it developed into something a little bit more than just friendship. And let people talk, but it's just full transparency. Our relationship was not bound on biblical principles.
Keep it real. Amen.
We both grew up in the church. We both had a relationship with God in a sense. So we had the same core values, but it didn't necessarily mean that we were walking that out at the time. We were
Right.
21, 22. Life ahead of us. We've got this career that could potentially get us a lot of money really, really quick. You're fast moving. FAMU's a fun place. And there's a lot of pitfalls to fall into if you want to find them. And so we weren't necessarily walking out, this is how you date. This is how you court. This is what you're supposed to do for next steps. This is how you're intentional. So at the end of the day, we just really had fun. And let that fall wherever it may be. We didn't even put a title on anything. So we were not intentional at all at the beginning. It was more so like, there is a certain piece, a certain vibe that I get, that he gets when we connect. And so when we are, our last year, you go on rotations where you do on the job training in a sense for your last year of school. And I went to Tampa Bay, my hometown. He went to Fort Lauderdale, his hometown. So we separated, kind of just let the chips fall where they may. And in that regard, I kind of stepped back because I'm like, if he wants more,
Right.
then he'll let me know.
Right.
And if he doesn't, then I got a plan. I'm moving to Houston. I had this whole goal. I was about my money and my career goals. So it was like, there will be someone for me if you're not that someone for me.
Right.
The way that I approached it. He came back into the picture 3 months later or so.
Right. So I guess I'll pick up from there.
Yeah.
Right. Go ahead, man of God.
Everything you stated was true. Our relationship was first and foremost, and what I think has allowed us to last as long as we have is that it was based on friendship from the beginning. And like she said, there was never really any pressure to make it anything more than that. At the time when we, I guess, took it a step further than just friends, I was still currently in a relationship. And so one in which I was, full disclosure, one of which I wasn't completely happy with, but I don't know if the guests know or if you said it, but I have a child from that relationship, or I had a child from that relationship, still do. And so, I was kind of conflicted with them trying to make that work because I don't want to just be a baby daddy, you know, stuff. But I'm not really happy. And Shana and I, we were really like just flowing. Everything was
perfect.
Yeah, like she said.
And I didn't know.
Of course not. I can't tell her that.
All of it.
We gonna talk about that. The importance of expressing yourself, man of God. But continue with your story. Let me make note.
Anyways, so I had that going on, and so we, like she said, we left Tallahassee and we kind of went our separate ways to our hometowns to finish off our final year. And within the first 2-3 months, I realized, trying to make that other situation work with me not being happy, just it was never gonna work. And so I ended that. And then after ending that, I reached back out to the woman who I had fell in love with. So
I almost didn't answer the phone.
She almost didn't answer the phone, but thank God she did.
Because what you're not gonna do is not call me for 3 months. Like,
right, like, period.
Right.
Yeah. So we picked up from there, and kind of been rolling ever since.
Now I want to talk about, okay, so you guys said so much, and I want to kind of piggyback just a little bit, okay? So here you have a friendship, right? And obviously I'm assuming, Tone's wife, you have feelings for this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I developed feelings. I was, we, this might actually be something significant.
Right.
And I kind of expressed it in a way that made him freak out. And I found out a little bit more in detail about really what he was dealing with right before we left.
Okay, because that was my next question. Like, so you liked him.
I didn't know about, normal stuff, right? The child is there, you in a relationship, or she in a relationship with me, I'm not in a relationship with her situation.
That, okay.
Where we're supposed to be together if I'm down there.
Right.
But I'm doing whatever I want because we're not in the same city kind of vibe. So I found all of that out really before we left. So that was, to me, that was an intentional act on my end, was to be like, well, okay. Because he didn't get a call, I didn't write a miss you note or anything. It was like, if that's what you have to do, I can respect that. It made me understand a little better because of the complexity of the issue around. I get why you're doing what you're doing. I don't get why you didn't trust me with the knowledge or I personally am very much independent. I like to have all the facts and I like to make my own decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want someone taking away my choice.
Right. Right.
So when you try to manipulate people or trick them or make them, I feel like that takes away the choice. And so he learned very quickly that please don't do that.
Please don't do that. Period. Cool. So, Mr. Antonio, why did you keep that important information from Shana? Like,
I mean, at the time, I wasn't necessarily looking to. Again, our relationship kind of just happened.
It was organic.
Right. And so I wasn't necessarily looking.
So organic.
Huh?
It was organic.
No, I said organic. I love organic relationships. Go ahead.
Yeah, it just kind of happened all of a sudden. And so, again, in my head, I wasn't looking to jump into another relationship per se. So it was more so, all right, hey, we took it there. We're having fun or whatever, but that's as far as it's going to go. Again, I mean, in that, dealing with her, we kind of fell into a relationship, even though we didn't put a title on it, we were hanging out.
Right.
And so it was that, although we never claimed it. And so, I guess I was more so in denial, and trying to run from my destiny. Right. And I mean, that's what it is.
Praise the Lord. Okay. So before we get into, there's one more question that I want to ask you, or the both of you can answer. You said that friendship, is what basically kept you guys glued, and I think, establishing a friendship is amazing in a relationship, but how do you transition from friendship into relationship? Like, how were you guys able to do that? Because some people, once they have that friendship, they are not sure how to transition over to being a girlfriend or a boyfriend and soon to be husband and wife. So can you guys talk to us about that? And then we're going to go ahead and talk about how the Lord done delivered and snatched y'all life together. Praise the Lord.
I think the main thing that is important is that nothing is forced. That you don't have to push what is to be, and what is the will of God. So even though we were making wrong choices and turning left when God was saying right, he still had the final destination of Antonio and Shana Durham at the end of that. And
right.
Attraction is attraction, right? So just because we're friends doesn't mean that I'm not attracted. So I think that that was still, it was still there. It was the undercurrent, but it wasn't front and center. It was more so like, I legit like spending time with you, and I legit feel like we have a compatibility like I've never had before. From the point of, you can finish, I talk in movie quotes, I sing the end of certain, like I'll mix a song in with a paragraph that I'm trying to communicate, and he completely gets that. Most people can't. He'll,
Right.
you know, he understands it. And it's just a vibe that you get. And so when you don't force anything, sometimes it just naturally evolves on its own.
Right.
And because it's based in a foundation of friendship, it never leaves a friend. It's like, this still my homie. Like if I'm at the store and I see something that's funny, like I'm calling him. He don't,
Right.
got no iPhones. I have to Google Duo, so I can show him what I'm laughing at or
Right.
whatever. But we do, we still, you know, almost 10 years married, still have that foundational friendship. And whenever the friendship isn't right, then we be like, we need to have a heart to heart. Something's off.
Right.
Something's off.
You ain't laughing at me. You're upset.
Right.
You know, like what's going on? So I think, just if you are having trouble with transitioning into a relationship, it could be, maybe that's not it. You don't have to force anything. And it's sometimes it could be pressure from outside. So people see you together all the time and they think you should be romantically involved because you're together all the time with that particular person. But it could just, maybe this is a truly platonic relationship that's meant to edify your life, and it's not your mate. And that's okay. So being able to understand that there's no reason to try to make something happen that doesn't need to happen. I think it naturally evolves, and you just fall into a flow. And being who I am, you know, like, and I mean, even you, Ludi, you're single right now, but you're a wife in your mentality. If you are to engage with a male that you feel like you're going to move forward with, automatically you start putting on an armor of, what would I do here? How will I navigate this here? And that's the purpose of dating, right? Is to figure out how we would respond or act through marriage. Like you get to know that person. So I guess always moved in a sense of like, I mean, it just naturally.
Basically, it just flows then. In other words, if it sounds like to me, because you guys have that bond, you guys transition very easily into that. Okay. All right. So that's your story. Now I do have one more question for you, Antonio, but I'm going to go ahead and we want to continue on the grace walk. Okay. So here you are, Mr. Antonio. I know you don't want me to call you Mr. Antonio, but I just had to, be corporate right quick, friend. So here you are, you're in this relationship and this is not your destiny partner. Oh, come on, somebody. This is not your destiny partner, and you spent 3 months away from your destiny partner, and it's killing you on the inside. Oh, come on, somebody. I'm preaching. All right. So you go ahead and you call the woman that makes your liver quiver. Okay. So let's talk about that, the moment that you knew that, Shana was the one for you, and how you guys started your process.
Well, I mean, for me, I knew she was the one back in Tallahassee. I felt it. Again, I was fighting against it, trying to make something work that just wasn't supposed to. When I reached out to her, it was completely just an act of faith. We just kind of ended cold turkey. It was very abrupt. I literally ran away from her on our final day of saying goodbye. Yeah, I know, yeah, all of that, I deserve it. But I knew that she was the woman that I wanted, and so I reached out to her hoping that she would answer the call, and give me a chance again. You know, I know I had messed up. And so, I mean, that's what it was. I just reached out and she answered.
Okay. Miss Shana, how was that for you when you saw Antonio on the main line?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was more so looking for like a bit of closure, some understanding around what it was. I wasn't. My expectation was nothing at the end of the day. Um, I figured because we had that foundational friendship, it is this something that, you know, I could salvage as far as friends are is concerned, you know, because we have such a vibe or whatever. And I think I picked it up from that regard. Like it wasn't like, okay, we finna just pick up kind of where we left off. Wasn't my intention. We ended up just picking up exactly where we left off. And at this particular point, now we're long distance. So the relationship dynamic has changed. So one thing about us, if you are going through it in your relationship, as far as like long distance, as far as we don't know what we're doing, as far as man, we didn't abstain, as far as we are abstaining, we have done all of those things. Pre-baby, baby after marriage, blended family, we have all of it compiled. And so we navigated then a long distance relationship. I think that gave us a lot of time to really dive into each other's personalities, to really dive into like what makes you tick, what's your goals, what are your dreams, what are your aspirations. Me personally, I was a woman on the move. I'm like, this is what I'm trying to get done. This is what I'm trying to do. And I felt like I need somebody who's matching my rhythm. And then also really trying to dive into him from a standpoint of he has a child. So where does his child fit in his priorities? How does he father? You know, what does family dynamic look like now? Is he, you know, what is the relationship looking like from a co-parenting standpoint? How is he navigating that? Because that ain't my problem at this particular point, right? I'm more so like, how can we make sure that we are connecting? And then from Xavier's standpoint, right, it's what does he need? What does his son need from us, you know, like from me that I could provide? And that's the way I felt like I could be helpful to him, is if I can, when we do link up, because we started doing like, we did a Disney trip and like certain things where he was introducing, you know, this was months of then exchange and conversations. And then after that, we started more so exploring like, okay, I get introduced to his son. What does that look like? How to navigate that? And it's always been, you know, I love children, I love kids, but this is a part of Tony. So this is my baby now. We're going to Disney, and this is what we're gonna do. And I think for him, it almost breathes a sigh of relief. But I will say one thing about him is that I've never had drama, because he is a man's man. He's very mild-mannered, mild-toned. If you like, this is what's gonna happen, then you kind of like, okay, this is what's happening. You just kind of submit to that. And he's very fair and very reasonable. So I think on his part, he handled the transition of that very, very well. So all of that was being worked out in the long distance. Then it kind of took almost like sex was off the table. So there's nothing clouding. It's just a clear understanding of where we're trying to go. I think that is, at that point, we begin to be very intentional about what we're trying to accomplish. We weren't perfect during that time either. We weren't even trying to necessarily abstain. We just couldn't
Yeah, I mean,
we couldn't get
a matter
to
of
it. It was a matter of distance. So all of that ended in yours truly finding out she preggo with a baby, like as we were graduating. So we were finishing up school. I had this whole plan, my career plan that I've been talking about this whole time. I had this entire plan, and then to find out that, wow, nope, life's coming at me fast. Need to change some things. And he had been saying during that whole time, you should move here. You should move here. You should move. We had developed into a place where that's what we were talking about. Is, well, he was talking about it.
Yeah, I
wasn't talking about it.
Yeah, she was set on moving to Houston and doing God knows what. It wasn't God's plan for her. So
I was gonna do a residency. I had like this entire goal, and I just didn't feel at the time like it's like, I love you, but there's no, we're intentional, but there's no, you're not tied to me. I'm not going to put my future in your hands at this point. Right. So why should I be loyal?
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're coming. No. Not.
Yeah. So
I'm not gonna say you trapped me, but
yeah, I mean, she said a lot. I will say that with my son, from day one, upon introducing her to him, she's always treated him as if he was hers, and so that was huge for me because, I'm gonna be in my kid's life regardless. It doesn't matter, what's going on. They're gonna be with me. So whoever I move forward with, they're gonna have to accept that and make that a part of their life and be comfortable with it, and not as, oh, that's your kid and you deal with that and I'll be over here when you finish with that. So she never did that, which was huge, and a great sign that I could move forward with her, potentially, because I knew that wouldn't be a stumbling block. In relation to her saying she wanted to move to Texas, I was adamant on getting her to move to where I was because I'm like, I'm not letting this lady go. I let her go once before, and I can't have that happen again. So I was adamant about her moving to Fort Lauderdale with me at the time where we resided at the time. And she was kind of like, what's in it for me? We dating and stuff like that. But like she said, I'm not going to just put my life in your hands. She's very independent in that regard. And so I made a promise to her. I told her, I said, trust me, it'll be worth your while. And she ended up moving to Fort Lauderdale. We had our daughter in December of 2009 after graduating. And she moved to Fort Lauderdale, I believe, in February, March of the following year. And
so we're living together, baby number 2.
Oh,
right.
So living together, baby number 2. And Jesus is where?
All over it.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm telling you, I'm very independent. I had all these plans.
Okay.
I had never missed my goals in a sense, right? I know what I'm doing. I got this whole plan. I figured we wouldn't necessarily lose touch. It's just, we've been doing long distance. We can do another year, another 2 years, no problem. He had other plans. I guess he was praying the opposite prayer of what I was praying.
Okay. So here you guys are. You guys are not married yet.
No.
Not married yet. Nope.
No.
And baby number 2.
Yes.
We have the son that I have taken on in a sense because I'm a co-parenting situation, but then we have a baby. He was trying to get me to move before I had my daughter. I was like, I need my mama. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm leaving my mama, and that was a complete trust fall. So
Right.
at this particular point, we had developed such a bond, such a connection, such a trust for me. It's like, okay, I have graduated. I have worked 6 years to get this doctorate.
Mm-hmm.
I have the potential of here. I am going to literally uproot my life away from my family, which I'm very close with, move to a city I know no one.
Right.
And trust that you're going to keep your end of the bargain.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think I told him too. I was like, also trust that I can find a way. I can figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't keep your end of the bargain, I have there is no pressure. I have no problem raising this child, and we'll figure it out because I'm not bitter or anything of that.
Right.
I think he knew that. It was just like, relax.
Yeah. So
I got you.
I knew on the inside she was kind of freaking out because
I was freaking out.
She like she said, she sets goals and she likes to make sure that they are attained. And she kind of had to pivot from all of those goals that she had set and trust that I would do the right thing. I mean, in the back of my mind, I already knew, hey, this is my wife. That's where this is headed. And so I don't know what you think, but that's what's going on. And so shortly after her moving down in February, in May is when she received her engagement ring. So, it
wasn't long. However, being isolated, right, from family, no one to turn, like he was working a lot, and I kind of built my schedule around the family because I have the baby, right? And so I would work to just make sure I stayed abreast of what was new and clinical and whatnot. And so I got really, really, really into studying the word. I mean, it's when I found Redeeming Word. And I had to build my spiritual muscles back up. I had been depending on me for a bit. And it was with that like probably like 6 months went by, I think. Maybe not even. It was 5 or 6 months went by where I am just being showered with word, and my prayer life is picking up, and my whole entire spiritual walk and grace walk is changing. And meanwhile, during this time, it's almost like our first year of marriage, where there's always rumors of first year's marriage is the most rockiest because you're just trying to figure out how to cohabitate. Right. So we're trying to figure that out. I'm a free spirit. I spend, I give, I'm a giver. He is like, here is the money. These are the guidelines. Follow the rules. And so trying to understand, like, it's like, I feel like you're stifling. I'm a butterfly, like, let me be free, or give me a whole bunch of cash in my hand that I'm just probably going to give away to people, which is usually too. So navigating that, parenting styles, like how we're going to, how can I better parent a child that's technically not mine, but he's here. And so if he's here, then this is right. All of that, we're trying to navigate that. So I'm using the biblical principles I'm learning to apply to the relationship. And so I just got so overwhelmed with conviction at that point. So we're living together, 2 babies in the house, been rocking and rolling for years at this point. And I just gotta, and I wanted to so make sure, because we're planning a wedding, a lot of stuff is going on. And I just wanted God's stamp of approval.
Mm-hmm.
After all of the ebbs and flows of the relationship and everything we had been through, and all the love that we had, I was willing to like walk away if God said no.
Mm-hmm. So
I wanted to like fast. We're going to abstain. We're going to, are you okay with this? He was like, yeah, I want God to bless us too. Like,
So let me just, before you continue, I just want you guys to understand that for those of you that are just coming in, or for those of you that are watching, Shana has left her safe haven, right, to move in with Antonio. Doesn't have a ring yet. They have 2 kids.
Well, I have a ring quickly. So like March, I didn't have a ring before I moved, but then May proposed.
Yeah. So you didn't have the ring yet, but you came down, right? Mm-hmm. So you guys are living together, all right? Shacking up, and you know how y'all do it, shacking up, however y'all want to name it, call it, whatever, So here you are, you're, as the church would say, living in sin, right? And you want God's stamp of approval on your relationship, and just all of a sudden you just get this urge, I need God, and go ahead, go from there. And so basically you get this urge you need Jesus, and you abstain from sex while living with your now fiance.
Yes.
Did you guys do that?
For 3 months.
For 3 months. For 3 months, she decided, you know what? I cannot move on in this relationship because I want to hear from the Lord in regards to this. So I just want you guys to hear that, all right? Not saying to go do it now, but I just want you to know that when God, when it's destined, when it's God, like he's going to pull on your heartstring to let you know, hey, daughter, hey, son, I need you to slow down because I want you to talk to me. And you was able to hear that and to go ahead and start your process. But go ahead and finish the story.
I think that at that time, it was so important. Like, as we look back on it, it was like one of a crucial moment in our relationship, because we just were like praying together. We were talking about future plans. Like, we were more strategic about what it is that we were going to try to accomplish and how purposeful we were going to be together. So we had to work out a lot of those kinks that I was talking about around because at first it was just kind of misses, like, this is what I think, this is what you think, but then we don't ever create a plan or anything to solve it to where both of us are happy. There was no compromise. There was no discussion where we're talking, and we're still friends. We're still hanging out. There's no like animosity. There's no issues, but there's a lot of under the rug stuff that if we had not taken that time before marriage, like to really dive into that. And then of course we started doing premarital counseling during that time as well. So we had not really dove into that. Like, I don't know how that would have festered into our marriage forward. So I think at the time, I didn't necessarily see it like it was a seed that we were sowing. But the sacrifice was definitely necessary in order to hear, just the Holy Spirit and the unctions of just, here's what I would like for you to do. Here's the next steps. Here's what you should be thinking. And I just felt more confident in the decision to move forward. I mean, so much so, I remember on the wedding day, or our wedding weekend, we got married in July in Florida at 5:00 outside. And there was a 50% chance of thunderstorms. And I was just like, well, I pray that everything be okay. And I just need to make sure God is in it. God is in it. Right. The photographers were complaining about how bright the sun was shining, like, because they didn't capture it. And even my bishop who married us that I grew up with was like, you could tell God has blessed this union, you know? So it was just, he was in everything that we were doing. And I'm the whole story, when we look back on it, is like we made so many wrong turns, so many poor choices and wrong decisions, but we were navigating this journey that eventually led us to God's will and his plan. His plan will always manifest. Um it was just the will of God that we were going to be together. And although I think you shouldn't be condemned for your choices, right? But you can sometimes create more havoc on yourself, right? You can create more problems for yourself. Doesn't mean that God isn't God, doesn't mean that you can't get out of it. But I mean, it was a heavy burden for me to bear because I was alone and a new mother, and I'm trying to have my career that I was so focused on having, and I'm living with this man, and my life is in his hands instead of in God's hands. And what's going on? And then the mental play on that I could have saved myself from if I had made better choices.
Right.
But God still saw me through that. And I still ended up exactly where I was supposed to be.
That's good. That's good. So, Antonio, when I love this story because, I think, again, this is not to, encourage anyone who is watching to, or anyone listening, to go ahead and, have kids before marriage, but more so to show, because, I just want to, I have to throw that out there, girl, because I don't want people to be like, oh, I came to heart, and Ludi said, and Shana and Antonio said that, I could still have kids before marriage and God is going to reroute me. That's not what we're saying here. That's all we're saying. What we're saying is that, God is a God of grace, and if you find yourself in this situation, all right, and that this relationship is stamped with God's approval, and you want, and you just want a little bit more guidance, but you've been doing things on your own will, there is still time, because here you have these young couple, they're in love, and she was obedient enough to know that, hey, where is Jesus in all of this? Because some people, they get in la la land and, I love this man and that's just what it is, but they have no guidance whatsoever. And Shana was able to hear the voice of God, and she was able to submit to the voice of God. And thankfully she had a husband who was also, in tune, who was like, you know what? Oh yeah, I also want, God hands to bless this relationship. And they were able to abstain, from sex for 3 months and then seek wise counsel. And then, God showed up. So if you find yourself in this situation and, God can restore, he causes all things to work out for the good, And I think, and I wanted you to share that because again, I know there's plenty of people watching today, prior to being married, they made some horrible mistakes and they feel like, well, God can't bless this, or they didn't know if God could restore, or reroute the relationship. And I'm just glad that you guys are able to be here today to share your story, and God has really blessed you guys. So thank you for sharing that. Are you guys enjoying this? I know you guys are kind of quiet tonight, but if you are, just kind of let us know that you're here, you're listening, and you're enjoying the conversation. Antonio, I also want to thank you because, you shared so much, and I have some questions for you, and I want you to kind of, address the men that are watching or the ones that are going to come back tonight or even tomorrow. I know you talked about in the beginning of our conversation, you were not happy in your other relationship, and it was killing you, on the inside. What advice would you give to a young man who is in a relationship with the mother of their child, and they don't know how to quite get out of that? They want to get out, but they're not sure how to remove themselves from that relationship or that situation. It's always my baby mama is running things, or there's always an excuse. So what advice can you give to that young man, or with that crazy baby mama?
That's a good question. And I mean, I don't have all the answers. I can only tell you what I've done.
Right, that's fine.
In that situation, I think you have, first and foremost, you have to be happy. You can't, make something work that where you're not content. And if you're in a situation that that cannot be salvaged, then I think it's important that you're upfront with the other person, and let them know, hey, this isn't going the way that I want it to. And so, we got to end this. I also think it's important for you to, as a man, to let her know that although we aren't working out, I'm going to be there for my child. And so whatever that looks like as far as co-parenting, or how you guys will divide the time between the child, to let her know that, hey, although we're not working out, it doesn't mean that I'm leaving you with the kid. I think that that's super important. In that, I mean, as men, I do feel like society gives us the short end of the stick, in regards to when a household splits up. I believe the mother does get the benefit of the doubt majority of the time. But even with that, I think you still have to be encouraged to know that you're going to do everything for the child's good, So navigating through those difficult conversations of letting her know that, hey, again, we're not working out. I'm gonna live my life. There's gonna be, I'm not, gonna remain single forever. I will be entertaining other people.
Okay, sir.
But I think you have to let her know that you're not just gonna have your kid around anybody. So even with Shana, I knew her character, but I didn't know her character around my kid until I started introducing her slowly, and she showed to me and proved to me that there wasn't any danger or any ill feelings there. And so, again, that's important. I think it's important to pay attention to those signs, and pick up on those cues. If your next partner, isn't feeling the kid, that may not be the person for you to move forward with. Again, as a parent, you want to do everything that you can to raise your child in an environment where they'll thrive and receive the love that they need. So
That's good. That's good. And I want to ask this question because in the process of, introducing Shana to your son, was there ever a time where, the other woman, was angry or jealous or bitter or tried to come at, Shana, and how, you as a man handle that? Because some guys don't know how to. They just kind of let things ride out, and then but professional folks got to come out and get just ratchet, and we don't want to do that, praise God. So how did you handle that if sweet love ever came out of character because you decided to move on?
Yeah, I what I've done is I've tried to let my son's mother know that, hey, the person that I'm dealing with cares about this kid just as much as you do, or as much as I do, for that matter. And so, whatever decisions that she makes in regards to him is for his best interest. And so, there have been times where She may have felt as though Shana, I guess, shouldn't have a say in certain things. But I try to let her, I try to let her know that, hey, this, first and foremost, this is my wife, someone who I saw fit to be a mother for my kids. And so, you know, what she decides, I co-sign. You know, I don't, she doesn't say anything, again, that's going to be harmful towards him. So, you know, when addressing those situations with the other parent, I try to come from a place of love. Again, I try to keep confusion and bickering and all of those things to a minimal. I'm not a type of person to go back and forth with people. You know,
anybody.
With anybody, you know, just say what I say, and that's kind of what it is. And
Period. That's it, Mr. Antonio.
so, but yeah, I mean, that's
not with me. I know how to make them go back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to say something on that, Ludi, though, around.
No, go ahead, sis.
From the woman's perspective, right? So if you are, and I can't speak for women with children who are dating, but I can speak for those who, or speak to those who are in a relationship with someone who has a child, and how you assess that. So I think it's very, very important to analyze and to observe how it is that this person is engaging as a co-parent. So are they decisive? Are they a man's man and they say what they say and they mean what they say, and they're word and they stick to this, and there's no confusion around that? Can they handle the situation? Because if they can't handle it, there's no way you can come in and handle anything.
That's good.
So, you know, I believe that we should always follow peace. And so where there's no peace, there should be no you.
Yeah.
Red flag number 1, 2, and 3. If you have a dude who is like, my baby mama's doing this and that, and he hits you with she make the decisions, or she's doing this, or she's, okay, so you're not the man for me, because a husband is very decisive. He's a leader. He is you know, he's the priest of the home. So like, if you don't have any authority, how am I supposed to submit to something that's not an authority?
Right.
So I think that's a telltale sign around, you know, you really need to think twice about pursuing anything further.
Right.
People go and break up. I didn't know you go and break up with your boyfriend around it. What I'm saying is, you gotta watch.
Right.
If she's able to control him in just the small things and everything, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about compromise. I'm not talking about actual conversation and a good co-parenting relationship or whatnot. I'm talking about, like, he's like, she won't let me get my kid.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. Okay, so what's the court fees? Where's your lawyer?
Right.
She won't let you get your kid. You know, that kind of speech is just kind of unacceptable. So, you know, I just feel like that's a huge red flag for women who are dating men who have children.
That's good. That's really, really good. I want to open the floor. I know some of you guys are just now coming in. If you guys have any questions, I definitely want you guys to go ahead and, you know, ask this lovely couple. Again, we're talking about their grace walk. You know, we always hear people with the perfect love story, but can God really restore those individuals who didn't do things the right way? And I think Antonio and Shana's story displays that. That, you know what, hey, if I make a mistake and if I didn't, you know, have the wedding or the baby and, you know, so on and so forth, I believe that God can restore And I believe that this relationship definitely showcased that. I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to say. And by any chance, can you just let the people know, Antonio, at what age, at what time frame do you feel like it's appropriate for, a man or a woman to introduce, their significant other to the child? And at what age was your son when Shana met him?
Um, he was like 2. Um,
Okay.
again, it depends on the relationship that you have with the other person.
Mhm.
How well you really know them. Again, Shayna and I relationship began once we really got serious about each other. It began as long distance, so all we had was the telephone, and so we had to communicate with each other, which is what allowed me to kind of delve into her psyche, and to fully understand the woman that she was.
Mhm.
And with that, with that, um, I don't know when did we go to Disney World?
It was cool. So
Like January.
January.
Yeah, so it probably was 5-6 months upon us rekindling and starting over again. That
With the previous history of
Yeah,
you knew me.
with the background, of course. But actually, once we put a title on, we're in a relationship. It was probably 5 or 6 months after that she
Mhm.
first met my son, and
And he was really young. So,
yeah,
before, like a year-old baby, it's not, like meeting, I guess, in a sense. Like right,
Right.
he was able to like say, I don't like that, or I want this, or he
Right.
was.
Right. Right. Okay. So they're very young.
yeah, and it wasn't necessarily like I'm bringing him over to her house for him to just hang out there. It was a fun environment. We took him to Disney World, so that it's like she's here. If you're comfortable with her, she's with me. But we're here to have fun also. So there wasn't any real pressure there. So
Right.
I mean that's kind of how we did it.
All right. Well, I just want to thank you guys again for sharing your story. It really blessed me, and I'm sure it did bless the individuals watching. I don't know if you guys have any last words for any single people or anyone who is, struggling to co-parent effectively. I would definitely want to just allow you guys to share your heart if you guys have anything else you want to say before we wrap up. Mr. Antonio, you got anything for the men?
Again,
Or talk about feelings, how important it is to be honest and about your feelings and don't lie and let me just
No, it is super important. And I've learned that through the years that it's best to be honest and upfront and allow the other person to make a informed decision. And you don't want to trap anybody into any situation or mislead them, because it's only going to create future problems. It'll undermine the trust in the relationship. Which if you don't have that, you don't have anything. So,
Mhm.
if you're serious about someone, I think it is important for you to be honest and upfront about that, even though that wasn't necessarily the approach that I took initially. But I learned to do that. And so I would say that be honest, man. Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Woman of God, do you have anything you want to close us out with?
I just think that it's important to listen to the spirit and
Mhm.
allow for God to guide you and allow, even your intuition, right? When you pick up on signs of, wow, there's such peace here, there's such a vibe here, this is great.
Yeah.
Like that's good. And when you feel uneasy, when you don't trust what's being said, or you're feeling a certain type of way about body language or behaviors, then trust that too. Willing to, I'm always down to, to tell women you're the prize. Be willing to walk away, make them lose the gold medal.
Right.
If it's meant to be, then he's not going to get his act together by you coddling him.
Right.
So move forward. Press toward the mark. Press toward the mark, because maybe it's not that mark.
Right.
It's another mark that's down the street.
Yeah.
Basically. So, like, you just gotta, be willing to cut ties at any particular point. And I think once you realize that, when you talk about skin in the game, not saying you might not be hurt by it, not saying that it may impact you. It may, I was kind of like feeling a certain type of way, but I'll heal. I'm so glad God allowed for us to heal from any type of heartbreak, disappointment,
right.
Over it, in order to maintain peace and to have trust in a relationship and to have honesty. So that was definitely things that we talked about immediately. It was like, well, I'm gonna talk to you. I didn't say it in a sense of like, with the finger pointing, but more so like, why should I talk to you?
Right.
He had to earn it back.
Right. That's good. Well, I just want to thank you guys for sharing your story. And we are wrapping this up. Again, you guys are watching Heart to Heart Live. Again, if you guys are watching the replay, welcome. Go ahead and tag a friend. Share this video with someone that needs just restoration in their relationship, restoration in their mind, just restoration on what love is and what it's not. Again, God can restore, God can forgive. And I believe that Shana and Antonio did a very good job in sharing their journey of how God, of God's grace and God's love. Amen. So guys, thank you guys so much for being here with me. I love you guys and enjoy your night. Bye.